Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Ramadan Mubarak and welcome to another exciting episode of Come Iftar with me. For today's dish, I'm going to teach you something very easy that we make in my home country, Nigeria, called pepper soup. We use Scotch bonnet and lots of spices and herbs to make our pepper soup. We use fish, chicken or beef, but today I'm going to be showing you an easy chicken pepper soup. So to make my dish, I'm going to first of all put my chicken. So you can either marinate your chicken for a little while. Sometimes I just like to use a little bit of grated ginger, but for today we're using chicken thighs, what is known as drumsticks. And I'm adding my chicken thighs to the pan now. What I'm going to do is put some fresh thyme to it. I'm adding my fresh thyme to it directly. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in some chopped ginger and chopped garlic. There we go. You need everything to be well seasoned. I'm using 1 red onion. Now with this red onion, you can use any type of onion, but there's a difference. The red onion has this sweetness that it provides. And now that I've added all that, I have some pepper soup spices with me. So pepper soup spices they're sold. If you're watching from Africa, you know where to get it in African stores or in the market. But if you're watching from the diaspora, you go to an African store and ask for pepper soup spices, they'll give it to you. I'm adding 2 handfuls, basically like 2 tablespoons of pepper soup spices to this. I'm going to add a little bit of cloves, just a handful, don't overwhelm it. Some pods of cardamom. Now, there's something I want to show you. You can actually give your pods of cardamom a little bit of shake so that you can burst open like this and then add that to that. Beautiful. Okay, so now everything is inside my pot. I'm just gonna add my water to this. It needs to take some time to boil and you want it to boil to the bone. I'm eyeballing about a cup of hot water, and then I'm popping on my heat to medium-high heat. Then I will now give this a nice stir. Pepper soup is delicate. You don't need to rush it. It's not a slow cooked dish per se, but you really want the broth. I'm gonna cover it, leave it to cook for 10 minutes, then we'll move from there. Now I've left it on cooking for about 5 minutes, and then to this I'm going to add my chicken seasoning. So I have some chicken bouillon cube. You can use stock cube or bouillon cube. It all depends on what you want to use. The pepper soup spices always have a little bit of salt in it, so that's why I'm just going to use a small amount. Add a little bit more water, because remember the broth is what is important. You just keep eyeballing it. It's not about measurement, it's about your eye. Give that a little shake or a stir, and then we cover again and leave to cook for 10 minutes. So it's been cooking away for 10 minutes, and all I have to do now is to make sure that the foam on top is being removed. It's very important to remove the foam. All I did was reduce the heat a little so that I can be able to remove any gooey stuff on top so that you have a clean broth. Because the broth, remember, is the main thing. All right, now that I have all of that gone, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my Scotch bonnet. That's the hot chili. Adding my Scotch bonnet to it. I cut them nice and bright and bold with seeds and all for the heat. I'm adding a little bit of oil, just a little. You can add extra virgin olive oil. Look at how vibrant it's looking. It smells really good. And then I'm going to do something. I'm going to add my scent leaf. So what is scent leaf? Is basil. Basil is what we call scent leaf back home. I'm going to add some of it now just by tearing it up. You don't have to cut it. We really want every oil essence of the basil to go into the dish. Give that a nice stir in. I'm going to leave that to boil in and cook for another 5 minutes before we plate up. And while that is going, you can either heat up a naan. We generally use a bread called gurasa. It's a bread literally made just the same way a naan is being made, but we use wheat flour, unsifted, so it's full of nutrients and it's very fibrous. So now I'm going to add this last bit of my basil. And then you just stir that in. And then your pepper soup is ready. Beautiful. The broth is the star of the dish. And there you have it. A lovely iftar for anybody to enjoy, like a warm hug and a nice cold day.